everyone, and welcome to this special episode of my knitting podcast. My name is Marlene and I'm a knitter from Germany. I wanted to do a fall knitting plans video for some time now. Some of these plans I've had for months and months and months, but obviously the weather was not appropriate to make all of these things. I'm actually still pretty hot today. Tomorrow the weather is supposed to change, so let's hope tomorrow a true autumn will start, because like right now it's still really hot and it's the evening. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about my knitting plans for this upcoming season. I've got some I put them in my maker's notebook. I've got this from Sophia. She's the maker behind the maker's notebook. Her brand is called Making Treasures, and I've put in all my plans. I've not put in just single projects yet, but there are my fall knitting plans about until December, and I just wanted to talk to you about them, show you the yarn that I've planned to use with them, and then speak a bit about some honorable mentions, projects that I myself probably won't be able to make just because I don't have 10 pairs of hands. And yeah, just some things that I really liked. I do also have some big live news that I want to share at the end if you're also interested in me, not just as a knitter and maker, but as Marlene, as a person. I do have something to share with you guys, and I will do that at the end of the video. So if you are just here for the knitting plans, you can just stay until then. And yeah, let's just start. I hope that I'll be able to get everything out of this book. I do have some test knits, some anticipated, highly anticipated knitting projects for which I got some yarn in the US. I've got a lot of sock knitting for some reason, and then 2 accessories. I'm obviously still finishing the projects that I do have on my needles. I have the Cozy Comfort throw that is kind of like a long-term project. I've got my boyfriend's Northland sweater on the needles, and I'm just finishing up a pair of socks. And then I want to get my Barbara shawl to a point where I can again knit on it. I do have to rip back a bit. But yeah, these are like the 3-4 projects that I still have on my needles, but I'll make them alongside those new projects. And also the throw is kind of like a very long-term project. Right now I don't have any more scraps that I can put into it, so it's resting. But yeah, let me start with one of my plans that I've already cast on. This was highly anticipated, a test knit for a designer that I really admire, that I really wanted to test for some time now. I was not picked for her last call, which was one of her last calls, which was the Tolsta, and with this sweater I had to try again, just because she was the reason. I'm obviously talking about Rebecca Clow, the Crea Bear. Her stick season designing collaboration had started me loving Noah Kahan. I didn't know him before. She and Ali were talking about him. I applied for that. I've been listening to Noah Kahan all the time. Actually, before applying, or right around the same time, I got some tickets to see him in February. And so I already have an outfit to wear because I'll be finished till then. But let me just show you what I've got so far. This is the stick season sweater. This is the kind of like, this is the stitch pattern. I'll be moving around a lot to get all of the stuff that I want to show you guys. I've got 4 skeins of this Explore Knits and Fibers, Rookies Decay and Daybreak. I showed you this in my last acquisition. Like I said, it's getting quite dark, so I hope you can see all the colors. Pretty true to color. So this is a rusty orangey red, and yeah, I really love it. I've already kind of messed up. I was planning on knitting size 4, which would be my size and the recommended ease, but usually I tend to go for a bit more ease for myself. I think whereas Rebecca prefers about 10 centimeters of positive ease for her designs and herself, I usually go for 10 to 20 and she goes for like 2 to 10 usually in a lot of her designs. That's what I've seen when I bought the pattern. And so I had started making size 4, but then somehow slipped in the pattern while reading. And so the backside then had the stitch count for size 5. And so because I was just making the front pieces, I adjusted them and will now be knitting size 5. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I did do a mood board. That was one of the knits where I felt like I was manifesting making it, and that worked. I don't know. But yeah, that's the first test knit that I applied for and that I was successful at applying for too. The next one will be the Killiney blouse by Coley. Nielsen, I think is her last name. She's Paisley Knits, the independent yarn dyer. I actually just got my first Paisley Knits yarn in today. I just paid customs. I got it from the postal office, and I'll show you in my next video because I love them. I got some single sock skeins from her Greek Gods collection, which I fell in love with when I saw it for the first time, but shipping wasn't actually too bad. Customs added a bit of money to that, but yeah, I'm happy. I'll make 2 very special socks out of it and put the scraps into my blanket, and I'll be very happy to have them. But for now they're on my pegboard, so yeah. For the Killiney blouse, I'm holding the Flock colorway by Woolberry Fiber Co. Not sure, yeah. With I'm going to hold that with this cone. This is a woolly yarn cone, I think it's called. This is a Surrey, and it's called, I think, gray, crystal gray, but I think it's more of a warm gray. So yeah, I don't yet have the Woolberry Flock colorway with me. That's the cozy, berry cozy base, I think. It's going to be here in about the next couple of days, I hope. And so I'll be swatching and casting that on whenever that arrives. And yeah, so these are my 2 test knits. I'm not going to apply for any more test knits. I've told myself, and I'm pretty sure I will be able to stick to that, because like I got the 2 very highly anticipated patterns. Both whenever they talked about them first, I was there, I was looking, I was seeing, I was mesmerized, and I'm really looking forward to making them whenever the second yarn arrives. I'm getting a head start on the 6 season sweater. I'm really excited for both of them. So these are kind of like my colorful knits out of the way, so I can get on with some a bit more classic, neutral, more like natural colorways. So I'm a bit frazzled because it's like actually still so hot inside. I hope you're not going to be able to hear any loud noises from the outside, but I still had to open a window because I was like, I'm going to die. It's kind of funny, sorry, that I'm talking about my autumn knits and it's literally the last blasting day of summer. Tomorrow is going to be like 10 degrees Celsius, like colder than today. And we've had some kind of like pre-autumn, pre-fall days, but like the last 3 days have just been so hot. So I really hope you're not going to be able to hear that, because like I can hear cars and birds. We're just gonna try and see. If this doesn't work, I'll have to re-film tomorrow. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. This next yarn that I'm using, I showed you in my last acquisitions. This is the Pearl Soho Good Wool. This is in hickory nut. It's undyed and it's going to be a Traveler's Crewneck, the Traveler by Andrea Mowry. And I'm not going to do, I always have hair sticking to my forehead. So sorry. I'm not going to make the hoodie, Traveler hoodie, but I'm going to do the Crewneck version just because I don't think it is the most practical thing for me to have. And I mean, crewnecks are my favorite neck versions. And yeah, I would have needed a bit more yardage to make the hood too. And I just think hoods are for like sweatshirts, like hoodies, collared shirts, stuff like that. Just in my personal wardrobe. I think it works out better as a crewneck. And I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, I ordered this yarn, it must be around when she released the sweater first, because I know I've been looking at the pattern, and then I only bought it when she had her, I think, 40th birthday sale, and I got the pattern for 40% off, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, I held off of buying the pattern for some time, but I had already this spring ordered the yarn, and then this summer I was able to take it home from my friend Chelsea's place. So I'm really happy. It's going to be a bit more of a moody, very natural dyed, yeah, kind of project. I don't have a what's cool this season kind of mood board, because like that is not the way I approach my own wardrobe or fashion or what I like in general. I appreciate that in other people's content. I like to look at it, but it's not something that would very much work for me. I don't think that there would be a lot of situations where I would kind of like stride from what I like and what from what I liked for a long time, so that there's not a specific color mood board for this season, but more of a make more pieces for my wardrobe that I will adore and wear, and yeah, whatever I like basically. You could tell the colors, there is a theme, but it's more like, that's Marlene, that's me, and a lot of other people also like that, but like, I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. I don't have a seasonal highlight color or something like that. But yeah, something to counteract the brown would be the Harlow sweater v-neck in this gorgeous Woolberry Fiber Co. Homestead Berry Surrey that I got at Flock. And I'm going to hold it with this BC Garn. I'll have to look it up. I think it's the Samilla, I think Pura. I've got about a sweater quantity of this left over. I made my sweater number 18, I think it was, with this. It was gifted to me by my friend Emma for my birthday. And like I said, I will have to look up again what the base is called and what the color is called too, because I don't have any of the ball bands with me right now. But yeah, she gifted me the correct amount of yarn for the sweater number 18, but I somehow by mistake, but also in the end it was a very lucky mistake, I made it with just one strand of this and the fluffy, like the lace. That was maybe my third ever knitting sweater project, which meant that sometimes I was making mistakes, and I still do make mistakes now all the time, but that was a very lucky coincidence, lucky mistake that I made, because that kind of made sweater number 18 light Marlene edition that then later my friend Lydia was able to copy, or like use the formulation for that too, because she doesn't like very heavy sweaters. I like heavy sweaters, but not everyone does. And so I think my Ravelry project could be I don't know, kind of like an example for people that like lighter sweaters too. Whatever. I don't know. I'm probably going to be very rambly. It's the end of the day. Maybe I should have filmed like first thing in the morning, but like I said, these workers have really tried my patience. This is actually the first project where I'll be able to say thank you to one of you guys, because one person has gifted this sweater pattern to me. Last episode I was talking about ways in which you guys can support the channel and my work here, and a couple of people had decided to purchase patterns from my wish list to gift to me. I wanted to say thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so kind of you to do that. I'm not gonna name any names because I don't know if people want to stay anonymous. Same thing for Ko-Fi. I'm not gonna name any names, but I just wanted to say thanks to this one person. It's not gonna be okay, right? And to all the other people that have decided to support this channel in any way, shape or form. But yeah, this is possible because you've gifted me this pattern and I'm going to appreciate it so much while knitting it. So yeah, these are my first 4 sweater plans. I now wanted to do some honorable mentions for that category, just because I don't think in the next 3, it's gonna be September, October, November. I mean, I don't have any concrete deadlines. I'm just gonna knit until I'm finished, and then I'm gonna have more ideas. I already got winter plans in my notebook. I've pretty much made all of my plans for December and November already too. But yeah, I'm going to try and be really flexible with my plans too. This is kind of the order in which I'll make them, but obviously some socks are going to be intertwined with that and some gift knitting. I'm not going to talk about gift knitting today. I'm just going to talk about the things that I'm planning on making for myself. But yeah, the 2 sweaters I've also planned on making this autumn winter are the Clematis sweater by my friend Emma. I'm planning on making it with the linen quill I got from Pearl Soho too. This is it. I've actually also thought about using this mohair, but I think it's about 150 grams on this. So it'll really depend on how much I use for the blouse, how much I got left. I'm going to obviously weigh it and see how much I use. But then also I could get some grayish, beigey, this is oatmeal, some oatmeal colored mohair, suri, alpaca, whatever lace strand to hold with this any day. And I could also see if I just want to hold it on its own and have a very drapey Clematis sweater. I wanted to make the Clematis sweater since before she came out with it. Obviously Emma's my good friend, so she asked me if I wanted to test for her. I was at that point testing, I think 2 or 3 other designs for other designers, and so I wasn't able to at the time. But I was sure that I was wanting to make it one day. I also have my buttons already, so yeah, they're really special buttons too. And so yeah, I'm sure that I'll make it eventually in this cold season, but not sure when. And I just didn't want to make too many plans and then feel bad about not being able to do all of them. But yeah, another really light sweater, and that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to break it up and be like, I don't want to work on 3-4 different light sweaters. And so it's just honorable mentions, which could mean that I'll maybe make it in February too, but I'll get to it. So for the next sweater, I've had the yarn for at least 1 year already. I'm talking about the Knitting for Olive Merino in marzipan. And I also have another one of these cones. This is the suri in kind of like a white color. I have them linked in my Ravelry stash so you can see the exact kind of color. And I wanted to hold them together. So this fuzz will give the whole project a bit of a lighter touch, but yeah, this is, I didn't even say what kind of project this was for. This is for the sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Yeah, I've got a sweater quantity of this, but also, like I said, I don't want to do 3 light sweaters one after the other. Maybe I'll sprinkle some colorful socks in between, or I'll knit something else. And so the next project that I'm actually going to be starting on my travels to Copenhagen with Emma, again, the designer of the Clematis sweater and also my personal friend. This is a project I've been planning on making for a long time. Again, I already have the pouch for inside, and also somewhere in here there's a zipper. Can you guess what this is going to be? Right. This is going to be the honey clutch. I've got some leftover yarn to make it. I'm not sure what this is. Again, I'm not trying to come up with what it is, because like literally I don't know. There are some scraps. They're more than enough that I will need for this project. And this is actually something that I suggested to Emma that we could make, because we were thinking about what kind of mini cowl we could do. We're actually, at one point, we're thinking about doing a balaclava. She already's done one or even a couple. I've not done one, and I'm not sure if it will suit me, but I was intrigued by the idea of it. But we both also had been thinking about making a honey clutch eventually, and because there's always so many other things that you could be doing, we wanted something that is really kind of a small scale project. I don't know, I'm not sure if we'll be able to finish it in those like 4 days that we're away together. Probably not, but we can start it together. And she always gives me a lot more confidence when I'm trying something new, since she was one of the 2 people that had kind of like shown me how to knit in the first place. And so yeah, I've not done this stitch pattern before that you're using for the honey clutch, and so I'm really happy that we're going to make it together. And so this is kind of like the category accessories, and this is the second project. It is such a nice basket of yumminess. It's the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. I hope I've been saying the designers too, because like I feel like I've been forgetting everything. But yeah, when Laura talked about this project for the first time, I was like, I want this, I need this. But then she was also very openly talking about her mental health, and how at that point in time designing wasn't something that was really, I don't know, it was good for her, or like the pressure was a bit too much. And so she took, like, she didn't step away from it, but like she had to break on it. And so like I totally understood that. I felt a bit bad actually. Once I had posted a comment being like, oh, I love that pattern. If you'll get it ready, like whenever you'll have it as a pattern ever, any day, no pressure. Like I literally said that, but like I would buy it immediately. But then like she said that it was all a bit much at that point, and I totally get that. But when she did then announce months later, a couple of weeks ago, that she was actually publishing the pattern, I was so stoked. And when she then published the pattern, I think I must have been one of the first 10 people to buy it. I bought it. I actually didn't even use the code, which was a bit stupid, but yeah, no, anything to support art like that. So honestly, I also immediately cast on a square. This was my try out square, because I literally ran out of the beautiful, this is Burnt Umber by Olivia and Oliver. I ran out on the last row, And so I had to rip back and do one more white, like marzipan row, which I think you'll be able to see. And that way the front is now the back. And so I weaved in the ends on the front, but you would have been able to see this like garter thing where you switch the colors, and this is supposed to be the front, but it's also not. And so I didn't want to start with this because it wasn't, I mean, I don't want to put the pressure on myself to be like, it has to be perfect, but I also don't want to have kind of like an unfinished looking or chaotic looking blanket. With my scrappy cozy comfort blanket, I'm much more of a loosey-goosey, whatever happens happens, but with this I wanted a polished look. And so I made this first square, I put it away again. On this first day and the following days I did a lot of color swatching, swapping. I try to see if the colors work out. I hope to be putting in some pictures so I can kind of like guide you through my thoughts process. But I thought this is just going to be my swatch. I'm going to put it in my swatch bag eventually, which is another one of my projects that I want to make. Again, one of the patterns that one of you guys gifted to me was on my wish list, so thank you so much again. And yeah, so that's just going to go into that project, and for the time until then it's just going to go on my swatch board. But today actually I started my second swatch, and one thing that you'll maybe even be able to see is that the ratio is a lot better. So you start with the colorful section and then you move on to the this is Double Sunday in marzipan, and these are different these are both Olivia and Oliver. This is the DK and this is the cashmere DK bases. But yeah, I've just realized I need a bit more than 10 grams just to make sure that I won't run out. And so with this, I try to keep my tension on the white yarn a bit better than on this one. I just guess that throughout this whole thing, because I was knitting this first, I was a bit more tense and like doing increases. Also, I feel like you gotta be a bit more, I mean, you're making new stitches from the yarn you've already knit with. So I feel like it gets a bit more tense, whereas doing decreases kind of can leave you with a bit more loose yarn. I felt the same thing with like some camisoles that I've knit before, that on the one side I had really loose tension and on the other side I didn't. And so that's just a learning that I had. And so I just felt, because I was getting more used to the pattern on the one side and then on the other side I was doing a different technique, that my lighter colored triangle was getting a bit out of proportion. So now Laura said, I was talking to her about it on DMs, and she was like, don't worry about it. Whenever you put all of the other, so you're not sewing anything together, it's contiguous knitting, so you'll put it, I'm not gonna talk about it, please do buy the pattern so you know what I'm talking about, but you're continuing the whole throw by adding more squares, kind of like, and because of that the tension will kind of like ease and like balance out all of the squares, I guess. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be true. So she totally took that like fear from me that I was having for a moment there. And yeah, no, I've started it, finally started it for real. Like I said, I've already thought about color placement. I think I've got 12 colors with me right now. I'm not sure if I want to use them again and again, but also I've signed up for Rebecca Clow's Swatch Advent. And actually, I had a similar idea at the beginning of this year. I just didn't put it anywhere publicly. I've so many people have done it before, so I'm not saying that it was my idea, but like I wanted to do an advent for a friend of mine. And so I wasn't talking about it because I wanted it to be a surprise for her. But then throughout the year, I was at some point, I don't even know, she was like, you don't have to keep so many things from me. Because like I sometimes have a problem of sharing stuff when I still feel quite like dear creatively to it, and I just want to kind of like keep it to myself and like make a huge thing for someone else. Whereas now I learned if I share it beforehand, we could both do something really nice for each other. And that was the same case with this friend, Lydia. She's like, I don't know how I then mentioned it to her, and she's like, oh, I want to make one for you too, which was so nice. And I hadn't even thought about that. I was just like trying to make plans for other people, because I'm like, yeah, I'm like that. I love giving gifts too and making advent calendars for people. I love it. So yeah, and then we shared about that idea, and she's going to make one for me. I'm going to make one for her, and we're actually going to make one together and gifting it to one of you guys or one of her viewers. We're actually doing it on Instagram, but that's not until September, October. It's September already. I was saying October or November, so you'll get it way in advance. But one person will win an advent, a scrappy advent from the two of us. And so I'll be receiving 12 scraps from Lydia. I suggested doing a 12 of 12, so 12 days and 12 grams, so we both have enough for the squares. When she saw this blanket, she also wanted to make it, and so, I mean, as everyone who saw the project at one point, everyone's making them right now, and I love it. I love seeing them, and I also love that so many people that I like in my proximity of the knitting algorithm / YouTube / friendships are making it. So we're going to be seeing a lot of versions in the upcoming months. And so technically I would be getting 12 minis from my friend, 12 from the person that Rebecca is going to pair with me for the Advent swap. And then I also got this Phoebe and Mercy Advent. It's also, I think, 4 skeins or 12 skeins. I'm not sure. I paid for it, and then I forgot again. I'm just being like, I'm just gonna be surprised whenever it arrives. So yeah. So I know until I'm going to be able to finish all of these colors, eventually in the next couple of months, I'll be getting more minis, and also I'll be knitting more socks and having more leftover, possibly to put in this. So what is in this? I have all of the colorways that I used for my stripe hype sweater. These are all Olivia and Oliver. This is a DK sock, also from Olivia and Oliver. 2 fingering socks by Olivia and Oliver. I'm holding fingering double. This is by Cisleret, whatever. Hand-dyed Christmas of last year. I'm going to hold that double. And this is Aragon by Long Dock Yarn colorway, also Merino DK. And then I have got 4 minis from Sorella, also fingering. I'm going to hold them double too. I think this is Bryan Park, and the other ones I don't know. I just know that that's Bryan Park because I've got 2 of them. I've got a sock set with the same mini, and then I got this, and the other 3 I'm not sure from what collection they're from. And yeah, then I've got, I don't know, like 12, maybe 13 of these. I originally wanted to make a sweater with a double Sunday with a sari or mohair, but I actually just destashed the mohair because it wasn't, the hues, the colors weren't really working with my skin, I felt. Even though I liked the colorway, it just wasn't working for me. And so I had a sweater quantity to use up, and it's just perfect. The amount of yarn, it's all working out, and I'm so excited for this blanket. I love that I have 2 scrappy blankets now, and that all of the amazing leftovers will be reused again. So I know that I'll be forgetting stuff and I'll just have to make peace with that. But now I'm going to move into sock knitting. I do have 5 pairs of socks on my list, and the first is the Petal Drop sock by Florence, by Handmade by Florence, sorry. And this is the Olivia and Oliver classic sock in the colorway cotton. I think it's perfect because it does remind me of cotton too, and I just think it's a perfect, because you can see it has a tonality to it, which it's just something that you can get from a hand-dyed yarn much more easily than from just a commercially dyed yarn. And so I'm really looking forward to these. I'm actually itching to finish the ones that I have on my needles right now to cast that one on too. And the next one is the Grow Socks by Fiber Tales. I think I've first seen her her hat pattern in our local yarn shop. I was recommending a yarn for that pattern, and then I just realized how beautiful the pattern was, and then I realized that she had socks too. And so I really want to, that is actually the one plan that I don't have any yarn for, which would be perfect because it hopefully wouldn't be too expensive to get that in Denmark. Like I said, I'm going to be in Denmark in a week for a long weekend with my friend Emma. You could make a drinking game out of me mentioning my friends every time I mention them. You can just take a shot. You'd be drunk by like mid-episode. Oh, sorry. Yeah, a lot of my knitting just has to do with the two of them. So yeah, Grow Socks. I would love to get a light brown, maybe a rust color. I mean, where's the news on that? Like, who's shocked by that revelation? A grayish or like a beige would also be nice, just kind of like a natural color. Maybe I'll find something undyed, maybe a special Danish sock brand. So if you have any ideas on Danish sock yarn, please feel free to mention them to me in the comment section so I maybe get an idea. Yeah. Another thanks to one of my followers for gifting that pattern to me. It really means a lot. This plans wouldn't be possible in this shape or way or form. I mean, I could still buy them with my own money, but trying such a wide variety of patterns and then talking to you about them and like recommending or telling you what might not be perfect in the pattern, I think it's a really good idea. And I'm actually so tough with myself for coming up with that. I know Ko-Fi, so many other people do it. Like I said, to be honest, I got the idea from watching some of the people that I like to watch too. And I talked to some of them about it too. We're like colleagues. So you know what I'm trying to say. I'm really, whenever there's something that I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good idea. I'm like, no, honestly, thank you so much for getting that for me. The next pattern is the Sprocket sock, or Sprocket socks by Megan Nodecker, I think her name is. And I'm planning on using these Phoebe and Mercy, this Phoebe and Mercy sock set. I hope you'll be able to see them. You can see the little tags here. They're the Peregrine Took sock set. This is him. This colorway. And the other ones are called Samwise Gamgee, One Ring to Rule Them All, Meriadoc Brandybuck, and Gandalf the Grey. And I'm really looking forward to making a Sprocket socks with these perfect colors. I'm so happy. This sock is still on my wish list, and like I said, I'll be happy to buy them myself. But still, if there's ever a way that you want to support this channel, you can do it by buying a wishlist pattern, or even doing this like super like thing. You don't have to go to Ko-Fi, and you don't have to do any of this stuff. I'm just like, I was shocked by the amount of people who wanted to support me, honestly. And then I was like, why am I shocked? People are awesome. And like, I do the same for accounts that I love. So whatever. This is the last time I'll talk about it. I just want to say thank you. But I'm frazzled today, so I don't have any real rhyme or reason in this episode. So the next sock pattern is going to be the Daily Socks by Summer Lee. And I'm going to, I don't know, I think these were the ones that I wanted to use. This is Coast to Coast Yarn Company in the colorway Red Panda and Gothic House with Secrets Mini. This is it. This is her. I love this sock set more than words can say. And I'm so chuffed to have matched all of my sock sets, some of my sock sets. I have a lot of sock sets that I'm still holding on to. I just want to have them on my pegboard for some more months. And before I'm going to knit through all of them, I just decided on the first 5 that I want to knit with now. And the other ones I'm just going to look at for a bit more time. The next one I'm going to do is the Seasons Socks again by Summer Lee Designs. This is the Deep Breath Before the Plunge. This is Bounce Sock by Long Dog Yarn. I'm going to be doing kind of like a longish cuff and then just this. So I think I'm just going to do the cuff and the contrast, but do a long one. And yeah, otherwise this is going to be, like I said, season sock. Both last designs were by Summer Lee. So this is pretty much all the set plans. I also would love to make another hipster hat. I did the Burnt Umber Cashmere DK a couple of months back, and I really would like a green version to my red version. But I'm not sure which color I should do first. But I've got 2 greens and I can't decide. This is Macross by Explore Knits and Fibers. And this is the Merino DK Willow by Olivia and Oliver Fibers. And obviously they're both going to become hats at some point. But I feel like this might be a bit more autumnal and this might be a bit more springy. So I might knit up this first, but this also has been in my stash longer and I'm trying to do a bit of like knit from stash, knit new stash, knit from stash. So I tried to explain that in my last episode, to be like, change it up once in a while, change up light and dark colors, change up new and old stash, and I don't know, plan projects, test knits, stuff like that. And so maybe you guys want to help me figure out which green I should knit up first, which hipster hat should be knit up first. But that's about all of the plans that I wanted to talk to you guys about. As I said, I've already got some of my winter plans, but I'm not going to talk to you guys about them because that's for another video, honestly. Like I also said, I'm not going to talk in depth about knitting for others. So gift knitting, I'm just going to mention it quickly. I've mentioned it before too. Penny gloves, Sunday socks, the Hottie sweater and the Eric cowl are some of my plans. Penny gloves and Sunday socks are by Petite Knit. They're going to be gifted to several people in my family. And then the Hottie sweater by Susanne Müller, who's Polar Strickt. I've made one for myself prior and I've got the yarn in stash for some time now. I'm going to make one for my mum too, because she's like the biggest hot water bottle person that there is. Like, she doesn't go anywhere without it in her flat. She always has it like tucked behind her back when she's sitting on the couch, and so I'm going to make that for her. And the Eric cowl I'm going to make for my brother. And so yeah, that's just some of the gift knitting I'm going to be planning on making on the side throughout autumn before it's coming up to Christmas already. I wanted to talk about some of my honorable mentions of this autumn plans. I wanted to mention a couple of patterns that I probably won't be getting to making, or I have made before, or I think you should be doing. So the first one, again, another pattern. I saw it on Instagram. I fell in love. I watched it evolve throughout the whole test knitting process. It was quite a long process too. It's the Heirloom Cardigan by Catherine Seeberger. I've seen a couple of people that I like to follow make this, and I think it's just a gorgeous pattern. And if you know one thing about me, I love anything quilt. It's one of my obsessions as of this year, I think. I've always liked the look of it, but now that I've come to know more about knitting and sewing and crafting, I even more kind of admire the craft of it. And also I want everything in my house to be quilted. And so I don't think I'll be making that cardigan, although I love the look of it, but rather make some of the quilted looking accessories that Laura Penrose is bringing out. When she's announced her Sweet Shop blanket, she also showed some of her cushion covers too. And I would love to make one of those or two of those and put them on our bed as kind of like decorative cushions that you take off the bed when you go to sleep. So good. Literally so good. I'm going to for sure be making that, and if she has a public test call for that, I might be applying for that too. But yeah, this was one of the patterns that I wanted to highlight. And then the next one is the Mamba dress by Ulen Knitwear. I love the look of that dress. A person I've been following for some time, I actually don't know her name, but she's called Lake Knit. Whenever she posted a picture of her Mamba dress, how she styled it, I was like, yeah. She put on like a jean jacket and some trainers. I forgot the brand of the trainers, but I think they're so cool. I actually looked out for some, but most of them are in like too bright of colors, but like I wish I could rock that. But yeah, her whole outfit was just so on point. She does a lot of really great casual styling content, I think, and knitting content. So you should follow her too if you like what you're seeing here. That really inspired me to think about the Mamba dress. Right now I'm not looking to make a dress, but that is one of the few patterns I could see myself eventually someday making. I really like her look. I like the testers versions. Yeah, I adore that dress. The next sweater I wanted to mention is actually a sweater I didn't know the name of right until like yesterday or something. I actually put Minook back Antje's design. So I wasn't sure what the sweater was called, but then I think yesterday or like 2 days ago, she announced that it's called the Heather sweater. That's actually a design a friend of mine made me aware of, Julia. We're kind of like Instagram knitting friends, and because I had made this Judy sweater, which is going to be the next pattern that I recommend to you guys, it's not the same in any way, shape or form, but it's similar because it's textured. And I think that is one, if we're wanting to talk about trends, like, which I'm not really into, like I don't care, but if we want to talk about trends, that would be the one thing that I say I'm into this autumn, or any month or season for that matter. But I feel like it's something that's coming up this season too. It's textured knits. This might be my favorite sweater of all times. This is the Judy sweater by Gregoria Fibers. I was in her testing group. So the yarn was sponsored by Isager, but I also got to tell you, the like original composition of this yarn is awesome. Like, obviously I didn't have to pay for it, which was a plus too, but this does not pill at all. This does not scratch at all. It has the perfect weight. Like, it's a really comfy, and like it hugs you. I just love it. And I think the Heather sweater would be a similar a German option to this. These would be two. I mean, this one has lace, so some holes. The Heather sweater does not, but it's also textured. So I think it's just something that came up with my friend too when we're talking about kind of like texture. And I was telling Julia about wanting to apply for that test knit and the stick season, and she was like, oh yeah, but have you seen the Heather? And then we were talking about that and how that's also textured. And so maybe if there's something like you're looking for, I don't know, a trend to follow this season or something new to try out, I would say try texture. And this I can like 100% vouch for, is one of my favorite knits of all time. The last pattern is a pattern that's not out there yet. It's not even in testing, but it's something that has lived rent-free in my mind for a couple of weeks now. It's this decent sweater by, again, Coley from Paisley Knits. And not just the sweater, I'm going to put my mood board in here. It's the sweater in the saffron colorway from the Spain collection by Exploring Knits and Fibers. Just look at this. Doesn't it give you like the fuzziest, warmest feeling? Actually, when I first saw the colorway, my friend Chelsea had sent me a message about it and was like, oh, now I know what it feels like of having, I think like Exploring Knits and Fibers having a grip on my brain in a way, because I think I felt like that when she announced Petrichor, the colorway, which then Chelsea got for me in our swap, and it was awesome. But I think like Chelsea also adores the saffron colorway, and I was like, it's so good. And then I watched Coley's video and she was holding up this also red cabled sweater, and I was like, that's awesome. And then I watched Heartstopper because of Coley, and I was like, there's this one sweater that Charlie is wearing and it's awesome. And then I remembered Normal People, which is one of my favorite book and series of all time. I was going back to some pictures of the series, and then I realized that she was wearing one of that, like a similar sweater too, and I was just, that was it for me. I was like floored by how well it all went together. And so I really don't know yet if I can justify spending like $200 on the saffron colorway. I've kind of like scrunched numbers and been like, I think I could get away with 7 skeins of the Carlsbad worsted, which is 200 meters for 100 grams, which then would be, I think, like 1,400 meters, which I was looking at the Dorney, I was looking at the sweater number 15, so other cable sweaters, to see how much yardage they needed for my size. And from what I could get from those patterns, it should be fine with 1,400 meters. But yeah, I just don't know if I mean, just paying for the yarn is going to be, I think, like 170. Then I would have to pay for shipping, and I would have to pay for customs, which is a lot. Like I said, I've just ordered the Paisley knits, which was okay on both parts, but the more expensive the yarn is going to be, the more expensive customs is obviously going to be. I've sold and like de-stashed some yarn, so I'm trying to like, I don't know, justify it to myself. I've got about 4 or 5 days left on deciding if I'm going to get it. I'm not sure. If you watch this video, the pre-order is going to happen in like 2 days, so tell me if you think it's worth it. Like, would you get this color that you're in love with for a sweater that's not even out there? Yeah. But like by the time the yarn gets here, I'll be able to look at it for a couple of months, and then maybe Coley's going to call for testers or like bring out the pattern. Yeah, I really like that. But that's the last of my knitting plans. I've actually wanted to talk to you guys about 2 other crafts. It's getting dark. I really hope you're going to be able to see me, but it's the autumn edition, so it's okay. I wanted to talk to you all about hand spinning, drop spindle, spindling actually. I'm going to try and finish these 4 ounces this season. It doesn't sound like a huge goal or anything, and it probably isn't, but I'm trying to spin my singles and ply it until the end of this season. It's just a bit more labor intense, obviously, than using an e-spinner, which I would love to get one, but I'm just not right now in the market for one. I think I'll actually do the same thing that Ariel did, that she got an e-spinner before she's planning on getting a wheel. Ariel is from Aries Knit. She has an awesome YouTube podcast too. I met her at Flock. You should check her out. And yeah, so I'm probably going to see if I'll be able to finish this spin in this season, and then see if maybe I'm going to ask for an e-spinner for Christmas. I would love to try out some hand-dyed roving too, some spinning wool, but I think I'm just going to try and finish that one project, and if I can do that, maybe it's a sign for me to be like, okay, I can be trusted with spending more on that hobby too. I've actually been practicing my park and draft a bit, but honestly, I've not spent hours on it. As you can see, I've just done a bit on it, but when I did it, I really enjoyed it. It's just, I think right now I'm prioritizing knitting over other crafts too, which is a segue to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is sewing. I don't actually have them with me, but one of my acquisitions that I forgot to show you guys were these Gütermann threads. I got them from La Mercerie too, and when I came back and I tried out my mother-in-law's sewing machine that she had lended to me at the beginning of this year, because I was really adamant to try sewing, but I wasn't able to get in the thread through the whole thing in the order that it was supposed to go in. And so her neighbor, my mother-in-law's neighbor, she actually came around a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday, and she showed it to me at her house. And now I've been sewing a bit with some leftover fabric from a dress that I had shortened before, and I've been doing some scrunchies. I can put in a picture. I've hand sewed some scrunchies in the past from a dress that my mom and I wore when we were both more like thinner, basically. And then at one point we both weren't able to fit in it anymore, and so we cut it and we made some scrunchies for ourselves, and we hand sewed them. But now I made some machine sewed scrunchies, and because I really enjoyed that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some fabric. I got some more threads. I hope you can see them. They're Gütermann again. I've heard that they're supposed to be really good. I just got some colors that I really like. Honestly, this one I mostly got to have something to go with yarn that I really like. I used this to sew on the buttons to my corn cardigan too, so yeah. But then I also got some fabric. Yeah, so I got some gingham cotton and some kind of like waffly color, no, waffle texture, a green and a rust. Oh god, the light is going so fast. I'm trying to be really fast about this. I wanted to make a camisole top for myself, but also what I'll probably be starting with is making some project bags. I know that my friends, my best friends probably watch this, so I sometimes feel that's what I was trying to say. I feel weird sometimes mentioning plans before they're actually executed. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, and also it might be a gift in the future, and so I don't really want to talk about it, but oh well, I want to share with you guys. So I was planning on making some project bags, just like easy drawstring project bags at first, but then also I found a really nice pattern that I'm probably going to buy to make some more advanced project bags. I'll probably just send Svenja Knits a message too, because she's one of the, first of all, one of the podcasters I enjoy watching on YouTube, but also I know that she's also sewing project bags too, and more stuff. And recently she's been sharing about that more, and so I wanted to ask her about some tips and tricks she has. But yeah, that is an endeavor I want to get into more this season too. Now, before the light is going to go away for today, I just wanted to briefly talk about some life changes. So this is kind of like a mental health career update. For anyone who's been following my journey for some time, you'll know that I've been talking about how working in academia has affected my mental health over the last 2.5 years. Though, especially in the last 6 months, or rather 8 months now, things have gotten more difficult for me. There are obviously many reasons for that. At the end of the day, I was just not feeling good in that job anymore. I was working in a research project at a university, if you're new here, after receiving my master's in media studies, and yeah, pursuing a PhD also in digital humanities, with a focus on film history and women in film history, which the topic in and of itself, it's still dear to me and it's still important to me. But the, like I said, the effects of the stress and the pressure and the expectations and the structural problems I think academia has, and the way in which it made me feel, have at the end of the day brought me to the decision of quitting my job in academia and at the university, and not finishing my PhD. I'm so proud of saying this because I know it's the right decision, and it has been marinating in my brain for some time now. And the way in which I felt when actually first, like honestly, truly telling myself that that would be an option, because I didn't believe myself when I first thought about it, or I didn't think it was an option to change careers now, because like I've done everything to get to that point. I really felt like a huge, like a rock sized, I don't know, like the size of a car, I don't know, fell off my shoulders. Yeah, I've not told everyone. I obviously talked to the very close people in my family, my friends. Everyone's been really supportive, but I haven't announced it publicly. Obviously, it wasn't an easy decision, but at the end of the day, I know how much better I'll feel. And yeah, I really didn't know how to put it. Actually, another knitting podcast friend, someone I've met over this format, Hannah, Pages and Pearls, she has achieved finishing her PhD already, so well done to her for that. She once told me, she once left a comment, she was like, I've heard this, or one of my favorite quotes, I don't actually know where it's from anymore, I forgot, but when she told me that, I put it on like a sticky note and put it to my working computer, and it was always there the last couple of months, which was really helpful. So thank you again, Hannah. It said, if academia ever makes you feel less or like you're not good enough, it's not you, it's academia. And I think that's true. For me, it was. And I don't want to say that this is a universal truth for everyone. It's just for me. And I'm very proud and I'm very happy that I got out right now. And I'm pursuing something else. I'll be talking more about that probably in the next videos that I'll put up. I'm actually very proud of everything that I've built now. Everything that's going to come, I'm actually going to work in and with yarn and knitting in all ways, shapes, or forms. I'm going to tell you guys more about that soon. My camera is actually going to die in a minute, so I'll have to wrap up here. The lighting is going. Thank you so much for staying with me until this very end. If you enjoyed my listening to my autumn knitting plans, feel free to give this video a like and subscribe if you like content like this. The support has been amazing. Thank you guys so much, and thank you so much for being patient with me, being able to tell you guys about this change in my work life, which I'm really excited about, and I'm so happy to share with you guys. So yeah, I hope you'll have an awesome day or night of knitting wherever you are in the world. I hope you're staying healthy and taking care of yourselves and your souls and your mental health. And I wish you guys happy knitting. Bye.